So whoever comes back for the recording is going to miss the whole beginning part about the giveaway, but that's okay because they're not here. So, and it's someone who's here who's going to win. So, and the way that that's going to work is Vidya is my co-pilot today, and she is making a list of in no particular order, of everyone who's here. And at the end, we're going to choose someone to pick a number between 1 and whatever, and that's the winner. So that's how randomly we're going to be doing this. So everybody gets a fair shot. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to like zoom out and go way back and just start at the beginning about what we're up to and why we're doing this, for those who are not familiar. So WeFunder is a equity crowdfunding platform. So it's similar to a Kickstarter. I think a lot of you have been around for all the Kickstarter extravaganzas, and it's very similar in the sense that everyone kind of comes together and pulls money together to create something. And in this case, it's actually you're getting shares in the company. And the way that it works is it's called a SAFE agreement, which is a simple agreement for future equity. So it's basically kind of a placeholder saying like, these are your shares, but they get issued to you when there's an event. And an event is something like selling the company, like we get acquired, and now those shares that you reserved turn into actual shares at the current valuation. And so whatever value the company is at that time, that's what decides your profit. So this is just an example, not a projection, but say, right now we're valuing the company at 10 million. So if you bought $1 million in shares and then the company grew tenfold, that $1 million would turn into $10 million. So it just depends on, how many shares you buy and what happens with the company, how much money you're going to make, because that's a big question we get. It's like, what's my return on investment? And it's really you're investing in the faith and belief that SASH is going to grow in value, not decrease in value. So that's essentially it. And then again, when there is an event, that's when your kind of placeholder future equity container that you're investing in turns into real shares. Let me mute Carolyn. And then the reason we're doing this is because most of you have experienced over the years that the way we've managed the company and been able to produce and distribute bags has been largely through things like Kickstarters and pre-order campaigns, just simply a function of being a product-based business with a manufacturer who is not able to extend us manufacturing terms. So that means we have to pay for everything up front. Not only do we have to pay for it up front, we have to pay for it months in advance. And so it just ties up our cash for a really long amount of time and kind of cripples our ability to really scale and explore other avenues of growth, because we just kind of have to stick to what we know. And we've got this kind of methodical approach of taking those pre-orders and increasing our production like a little bit more than what we pre-ordered so that we have some inventory. And so that's been the way that the company has gone for years and years. And we've been trying different ways to try and flip that around. And ultimately we decided that we just needed to raise capital. And so we've done that a couple different ways. So the WeFunder is just one part of the money that we've raised. The other part is a letter of credit, which we're able to continue rolling over. In fact, we've already rolled it over, and we have all of our pre-order production already going, and we've been able to take this letter of credit and the money that we already raised in WeFunder and place our POs for holiday and for Q1 of 2022. So that's how far ahead we're planning now, which this is literally the first time since the beginning of this company that we've been able to do that. So it's so exciting. Literally the first time, like we've been able to plan this far ahead. So when we get bags coming in for holidays, they're all going to be in stock and they're going to ship right away. And that was the whole point of this. That was the whole point of this. And it's happening. And it's thanks to the people who invested early on. So that first $250,000 that we raised in the first couple of weeks, that money we were able to get pretty quickly and put it to use right away. And so those of you who jumped right in like day 1 or day 7 and invested your money, this is your money at work. We're working on production already for January and February. So what we've spent now that we've got production going, we spent the last couple weeks putting together a really sophisticated schedule for not only our production, but our budget, our employees, because it's not just about getting product in, right? It's about distributing it. It's making sure that we're getting it in front of eyeballs, getting them on bodies, getting people talking about it. So really getting creative around, how do we want to distribute all these bags? How do we want to sell them? Who are the people we're going to need involved? Like, how is this all going to work to scale the company the way that we know it can be scaled? And so that's been a team effort with the ladies at Ad Astra, including Vidya, Sylvia, and Allison, and Vidya can share a little bit more about that. And working with Brian, who's, brought in the letter of credit, and our new COO, which was another big piece that a big piece of the puzzle, the funding, the production, getting all this going, then having a COO, someone who can really run the operations of the company so that I can focus on the things that I am brilliant at, which is not necessarily all the organizational stuff. Anyway, so that, I feel like I'm talking so much. That's because there's a lot to say. And I'm going to stop now. And I think you get it. I think I said enough that everybody's like, cool, we know why we're here. We know why we're doing this investment opportunity. Right on. And now I'm going to toss it over to Brian to share a little bit more about the business growth aspect. And then we're going to have Vidya talk about her investment, like why she's invested and what she sees as the opportunity. And then we'll open it up to questions, because Vidya is a wealth of knowledge. Those of you who were here when Sylvia was answering all those questions, Sylvia and Vidya are partners, and this is, what they do. So then we'll get to that piece, and then we'll open it up to questions. And once we feel like all the questions are done, we'll choose our winner, and then we'll all go have a Wednesday evening. Take it away, Brian.
Well, hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming onto the call. If you haven't heard me talk before, I met Nicole about 8 years ago, and immediately fell in love, number one, with the product, because it reminded me so much of UGG boots with the lamb leather and the high quality. And I also fell in love with Nicole because she was so smart in just not only the conception of the program, but the social media and the grind that she put in for several years at the street fairs and everything, which is almost the identical way that UGG got started. And the parallels between the UGG boots and the sash bag are amazing. Number one, it's not an intuitive product. I had to explain UGGs for 5 years. And a lot of people, when Sash first started, was, well, I like it, but I'm not sure how it works. And now people aren't even asking that anymore because it's become really intuitive. It's because it's a really high quality lamb leather. It's almost impossible to knock off in a big way. So I'm not at all worried about competitors coming in the market with a product that is the high quality one that Sash owns, that segment. So that's a really big thing. And the other thing is that for probably 8 years, UGG was crippled by this cash flow problem that Nicole was talking about. We used to throw away $1 million of orders nearly every year because we just could not finance the growth. And luckily, we haven't had to do that so badly with Sash, but we have missed out on tons and tons of sales and lots of frustration because the money we raised from Kickstarter had to get to India 2 or 3 months for production and come back. So there was a lot of wasted effort and a lot of wasted sales. And so now, as Nicole mentioned, we have raised the financing for Sash now to be able to get ahead of the production and we should have a backlog of product coming in, and that we'll be able to easily fulfill all the Christmas orders. And that was the beginning of UGG making its big surge off to where it became a really valuable company, and I sold it. And SASH has now just hit that point where we've got the production organized. The overheads with the COO coming on are going to be much more controllable. And I just see this is the launching pad for the real increase in value in SASH. So I hope, that you realize that, the investing is an interesting thing. You got to get in at the right time. And right now is the right time for SASH, because we're right on the cusp of the rapid growth that's going to happen over the next few years. So I'll turn it back to you, Nicole.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. And I did put this in VIP and I put it in the newsletter. And I'm just going to reiterate again, because this was a big question we got early on was, are there going to be more opportunities to invest in the future? And are there going to be multiple rounds? And when we first started, our intention was to do it that way. I think you guys remember me saying that, like, yeah, we're going to, raise funds for 6 months, then we're going to close it down for a while, and then we're going to raise more. Now that we've gotten in there and actually been able to see the money working and come up with this plan that it feels very manageable and we're really confident in, we're not planning to do another raise. So this is the time to invest for sure. And then, yeah, so let's hand it over to Vidya, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Great, thanks, Nicole. First of all, it's so great to see such a great group turn up to these calls. This is, I think, our third or fourth one, and every time it's just really, I've seen new faces, and it's delightful to be here. So my name's Vidya, and I'm a partner at Astra Ventures, and we're a group, a company that primarily invests in female founders, and we do this through, as like most investment funds, we look through interesting portfolios and we choose to invest. We also have this program that we just started earlier this year. And what we wanted to do was to pick a small group of women that we wanted to invest in, but we also saw as having enormous potential. And so Nicole was in our very first cohort because of a couple of things that I want to share with you. As we come in as one of the larger investors into SASH, there's a couple of things that we look at. We call it an investment thesis. It's a fancy word for saying, what do we look for in companies? What do we think is really compelling? And why do we think they're going to succeed? It's our rationale for why we put money into companies. So the first thing is the founder. So Nicole's been at this for a long time. She's worked through a lot of the kinks. She's worked through a lot of those really early startup. It's interesting because she's in this position where she's looking for funding, but she's built a real business, and it's pretty incredible what she's done pretty much on her own for over, as she said, nearly 10 years. The second thing we look for, and part of the founder, I should say, is there's grit, there's determination, does she have the staying power? And I think you can check all those boxes. I mean, Nicole is creative and she's full of ideas, and still after 10 years, she just gets so enthused and she's so passionate about her product. The second thing is we look for is customers. Has she proven the value of this product? And I think just you being here shows the strength of that. She's got such an incredible customer base. And when we see this, that shows, especially when people buy multiple products, how much they love the product. Brian, and it's so much fun sort of having worked with Brian over the last couple of years as we've got to know SASH. And as he tells these parallel stories, I mean, UGG's a household name around the world, right? Pretty much. And the fact that he sees so much connection, I think should give you goosebumps. I think you should get really excited about the fact that he sees so much potential and that he's right there sort of, by Nicole's side, and has been for the last 4 or 5 years, kind of getting to where we are right now. The third thing we look for is the team. And this is where, like, who's around Nicole. And so we've actually helped support, she talked about the COO. We've helped bring in people, and Nicole's going to continue to build her team with the funds available that really builds a robust business. So when you look at these different aspects of what we look for in a team, Nicole checks every box. This is a great product. Customers love it. There's so much that we can do. We're so excited as we start thinking about the strategic plan that we've worked on together. We've clearly identified multiple opportunities. It's more a question of prioritization and picking the greatest opportunities, because there's lots of great ones. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of that background as to why, as an investment group, we want to work with Nicole, and we have been for the last pretty closely for the last 3 or 4 months. And I've been partnering and watching Nicole and seeing how she works for a couple of years now, and just really incredibly impressed, as I know all of you are. So it comes to this opportunity. So most of the time, this is how it works. Companies go to investment firms, into maybe some family practices, but these opportunities aren't really readily available. You go to people who can write sort of bigger checks. And Nicole, this is a testament to how much she believes in the community and wants to include and connect with the community, that she chose a platform that allows anybody to invest as little as $100, and all the way up to some of those kind of great perks when you get to design a bag with her, you get to design a line. I'm excited. Like we already talked about, we've been talking about the line that we want, the Ad Astra line. You can imagine it's got something to do with the stars, right? The constellations. But this is such an amazing opportunity to bring it back to everyone who she knows supports her, she knows is so invested in her success. And so this WeFunder campaign is pretty unique. It's pretty unique in giving an opportunity, giving the structure for you to be able to invest. And so with that, I want to just open it up. You can ask me anything about investment. I've known Nicole for some time now. I've worked very closely with her on the business, and I'm so excited by what we're going to be able to do together over the next few years. So any questions? I think, Nicole, we can just, people can just unmute themselves, right?
Yeah, thank you, Vidya and Brian, for always showing up and sharing your perspectives. It's super, super helpful. Yeah, so let's go ahead, and you can either take yourself off mute to ask a question, or if you want to put a question in the chat, that's if you can't see the chat. By the way, we're having a whole conversation about like how to increase your investment, and it sounds like Lissa was able to increase her. I wasn't sure how that works, if it's like, if you already did it, do you need to go in and like do another one? But it sounds like you can actually go in and increase it. And Lissa did that successfully. So thanks for sharing that. I think
there was a question here, Nicole. It says, what happens if Sash is sold? And I'll take that one. I'm just scrolling up and down and didn't want that to get lost. So the whole point of this, and as investors, we're looking for what we call an exit event, right? We're looking for Nicole to be in a position where she sells her company. That's what she wants to do. She wants to be able to grow the brand. She wants to get into a position where it makes sense for a much bigger company to take it even further. And most companies work like this, right? I mean, it's she's going to take it as far as she can. She's going to build it in a way that looks really compelling to multiple investors. And then hopefully we're fighting them off. Hopefully we've got lots and lots of people when we're ready, and we're not there yet. But in a few years, I believe we will be. The plan we have in place is really foundational. It's solid and fairly conservative, I'll say. I think there's lots of room there, and I probably will say that. Nicole's probably like sort of sending daggers at me, because I think that we can do this and we can do more. But we've got a great plan to start. So when Sash is sold, we all own a piece of the company. And what we do is we get the proceeds that Sash sells for. What we're looking for is as a multiple, which means it's valued at a much higher rate than we're valuing right now. So at this point in time, with the amount of sales and the customers that Nicole has, we've got a valuation on it. In a couple of years, because we're growing, it's going to be valued at much more. And what we get is the multiple. Now, I have to say, I'm not giving investment advice. I need to do all the disclaimers. This is completely sort of a risky investment. I can tell you that we looked at it, we evaluated risk, we made that decision. You need to do that for yourself. But we're betting on the fact that there's going to be a great multiple. So it's going to be sold for multiple times what it's worth now. And that's the amount of money that we will all get back as shareholders, because we can't hold on to it. Once Nicole sells the company, she will sell all the shares and we will sell our share alongside. She will represent the entire shareholding group. That was a long answer, but hopefully it kind of gives you the context of what we're looking for.
Sorry, I was just muting a few people. I think I muted you too, Vidya and Brian. I just did a mute all. So yeah, so and then I see in the chat, there's been a couple questions about like just wanting to make sure that your investment actually went through, and sometimes it's not clear. So when the investment closes on August 13th, so we did one rolling close already. So some of you already received, some of you are like already done, right? Like you've got the email that was like, hey, finalize your investment, and you did all the things already. And some of you haven't. And so that's going to happen again, which is on August 13th. And that's when it's like closing for real. Like we can't even extend it if we wanted to. And that's when you'll start getting emails from WeFunder, letting you know, reminding you. In fact, I invested in another company on WeFunder, and I'm getting those emails now. And so every time I log into WeFunder, it's like this big bold thing on the top where it's like, don't lose your spot. It's a company called Curl Mix, really interesting. But yeah, so it will bug you until you do it once it decides to close. And it's also going to give you an opportunity to change your mind. You know, if you put in, you can change the amount, you can change your mind, you can finalize. So that'll happen on August 13th. And Lou, thank you for that question. Yes, there are different levels of investing. So the minimum is $100. So $100 gets you in the door, shareholder sash, you own $100 worth of shares, and you can go up to any amount that you want to, but once you get over a certain level, which I'm not actually sure what that threshold is, I think it's 12,000 or 10,000 or 25,000, something like that. You do have to submit additional paperwork to prove that you are an accredited investor. So being an accredited investor used to be the only way that you could invest in privately held companies. And it was in 2016 that they started changing some of the laws and regulations to allow everyday people to invest in private companies. And the reason for that, so the people that founded WeFunder were actually very integral in that process. And where they were coming from was like, hey, how come all the rich people get to have all the fun? And, you know, people who were accredited investors could invest in startups at the level at which, you know, they were private and they were trying to get off the ground. And then once they got to the point where they went public, then the general public could invest. By that time, the people who had invested in the very beginning were the ones that made the most amount of money, right? Because like they made all this money in that IPO process. And now the regular people get to invest and make money too. And so these guys that started WeFunder were like, that's not fair. That's not cool. Like we want to be able to invest in companies that we love. So they actually like petitioned and, you know, really worked with Congress to get some new laws passed that allow people to invest. And this is the way you're able to do it, is through this regulation, crowdfunding, equity campaigns. So, but that being said, that's why you're able to invest as little as $100 in a private company. You used to not be able to do that. But that being said, if you do invest levels that are higher, and again, I don't know exactly what that threshold is, but several people on this call have had to go through that process of submitting that paperwork to make sure that the SEC knows that you're not making an investment that's going to like ruin your life if something goes wrong, right? Basically, you're like, I'm good, I can afford this investment. Yeah, so the levels start at 100, they go up to infinity. Actually, not really. We're capping it at $1 million, but And there's different perks. So the perks are at the $250 level, you get a 10% coupon that you get to use forever, and you get to share it with people, and it'll be named after you, and you can be like, use my coupon, and hook your friends up with 10% off. At $500, you get that coupon plus a one-time 50% off coupon. Use it wisely. And then at the $2,500 level, I don't know if I'm missing one. I think we were going to do the 10,000, and then the 1,000, and it skipped my brain. But the $2,500 level, you get to be part of the membership community, which was something that I created in 2019, I think, which was like kind of a subscription model. And we decided to not do the subscription model anymore. But that core group of SASH membership people, what we do is we get together once a month. I think we're changing it now once every 60 days, because once a month is, a little much to maintain. But as often as we can, we get together and we have conversations like this. We talk about like what's going on with the business, what's going on with production. If I need support, maybe I have like 2 different shades of purple, and I'm like, somebody just pick one, please, because I'm overthinking it. Those are the kind of things we do in those meetings. So the $2,500 level gets you into the SASH membership group. $5,000 is all the other stuff too, right? So you get in the membership group, you get the coupon and all that, and you get to help me design a bag. And then the $10,000 level is, as I mentioned, you get to help me design a line of bags. So it might be, and with a dedicated URL. So, it would be like the sashbag.com/Glenda. And those are the bags that you helped design. And the $25,000 level is that you get to come be part of our annual planning session. So you get all the other stuff too. And then once a year, we get together as a company and just plan out what we're going to do for the year. What is all the production? So again, there will be micro decisions made throughout the year that will utilize that, the SASH membership group to finalize. But on a broader scale, we'll look at, for instance, this bag I started working on a long time ago. I planned it way, way earlier in the year that I wanted to do something like this at the end of the year. So that's what we do in those annual planning sessions is we look at, do we want to introduce any new product? Do we want to introduce any new distribution channels? And we really work together, throw things on a whiteboard and literally plan out the whole year from a marketing perspective, like, what are the different themes we're going to do each month? Yeah, so those are the levels. That was a lot. I can talk about things too much sometimes. Are there any other, as I was talking, I was ignoring the comments. Did you see any other questions come in, Vidya?
I think there's a couple of questions about, can you update the amount? And if it's already gone through, that's the one question I'm actually like, do you know this answer, Nicole? If you've got your certificate because you went through as an early bird, can you go in again and invest again? I don't think there's anything stopping you, is there?
Yeah, you can invest again. The only thing I don't know is if you can. So you can, I think this is the answer, because I just remembered that I had a similar question for Justin around someone who tried to get early bird, and there was something wrong with the transaction. And anyway, and you know how we are, we're like, oh, don't worry, we'll like help you out, we'll hook you up. And so it was like kind of after the fact, we had to go back retroactively, give this person early bird, and they could totally do it. They were like, all good, we've got it in our system that when we send the paperwork, we're going to make sure we send it this way. So I know that you can, it just might be like a manual process. So if you are someone who has already invested and you've already gone through the entire transaction and it's done, and you want to invest more at that early bird level, email me. And then I will put it in front of Justin. He'll make a note. I'm putting my email in the chat.
While she's doing that, I'm getting some questions about I haven't received my certificate. So the way that's working is the first funding, I think it's $250, was at an early bird. And so that was closed, but we kept the round open. So if you were a part of that early group, you've got your certificate, that you should have that by now. But for everyone else, we're still waiting. And the date, I think, is August, is it 14th, Nicole?
It's the 13th. And I'm seeing Ava say that she did go through the whole process. And I'm wondering what the certificate looks like. Because it might not be a cert in the form of a certificate, but
it should be like, it should be that the safe note. So that's what you should get.
If I could add in there, you will not get a certificate of shares of stock of SASH.
Right.
And that is the reason for this whole WeFunder thing. You will be all grouped together as a group of shareholders, and I am your representative to handle any questions that come because of that. But when the funding event happens, that's when everyone will get their stock issued and you'll participate in the value of the sale.
So that was a really good point, Brian. So inside, when you look through the paperwork, and everyone should read it, because the way that the note is set up, the safe, it gives you, it talks about the terms of the investment, and that's part of what you need to sign. So you should look through that. And you can do that, just, you don't have to kind of click that invest button. You should read all the paperwork, and you should make sure you're super comfortable with the way it's set up. Because while we want the event, as Brian called it, to happen in the next few years, there's no guarantees. It might take 3, it might take 4. We want to get to a place where we maximize the value of the company, and we're able to position it so we've got the right buyer. Because Nicole cares so much about the company. We don't want to, I know, I can speak for her for this, I'm sure. It's not going to sell it to anybody. It's got to be the right person, the right buyer, the right company to come in. And it's something that the community and the customers are going to continue. So finding that, it could happen in a year, it could happen in 3, we just don't know. So this isn't like a regular stock on the stock market where you're paying dividends. This isn't, this is a very different type of investment, where your investment now kind of goes in to help build the company. And but we're positioning it, you should know we are positioning it for acquisition at the right time.
Thank you, Vidya. So I was reading some of the comments. I know that, yeah, there is, people saying like, wait, I haven't gotten my thing yet. So yeah, again, if you are someone who you feel like you should have gotten something that you haven't, or you're not clear, just email me, Nicole@thesashback.com, and I will make sure that you get support. So.
And I would just stop the over communication. That's pretty funny. I think once you're on their emails, they send you lots of opportunities. Just desubscribe. I think we all get enough emails. Just get yourself off the email list, and you'll stop getting WeFunder email. I think I've already done that.
Yeah, and also yeah, again, so Ashley, Jenny, yeah, just reach out to me and we'll make sure you have what you need. So yeah, okay, cool. Who else has a question? Nobody. Okay.
I guess I do.
Okay.
So I received a confirmation that that it was accepted, that it was received and all that, but there's been a couple references to something that you sign. And now I'm going through my email going, do I need to sign something that I didn't sign? So just to confirm that when it has a confirmation already saying that, yes, it's already confirmed, there's nothing more I need to do at this point unless I want to up it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think we're talking about signing in the sense of anything electronic, you're making the commitment. So there is no other, you're not going to get another document to sign or anything. If there is, I haven't done it either. When you did the initial investment, you look through the paperwork, you commit, and then that's done.
Yeah. And, Denise just sent me question that I saw already too, so I'll address this now. Canadians, I know. So yes, if you are in Canada, there are 3 provinces that are not able to invest. I know, such a bummer, because one of them is Ontario, and we have such a huge customer base there. Some of our favorite Sash sisters live there, and we're super bummed. One of them is Quebec, and is it Ontario, Quebec, and Saskatchewan? No,
British Columbia.
no, it's not British Columbia.
Alberta.
Alberta, Quebec, and Ontario. So if you are a resident, Denise is like, oh, I'm Ontario. I know, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so if you are one of those provinces, so sad to say you cannot, but I know we have a few people that are like, hey, no big deal, I've got an address down in the US, and they're kind of like skirting their way around it. So Justin at WeFunder said there's no reason why you can't do that. If you do have that, some people have like dual residences and stuff, so you can use the other residence, but I don't know why, because that's usually the next question is like, how come? And I'm like, I don't know.
I saw this question about from Kimberly saying, what's the benefit to invest only a small amount? And any investment is that you are now a SASH shareholder. You move from a SASH customer into being part of the team. This is why I think it's so cool. And I think we're going to see more and more opportunities like this, especially for companies that are so customer focused and care so much about their customers. It's kind of like, when you work for a company and there's profit sharing, or there's some sort of employee incentives. It's because we're sort of sharing the opportunities. So Nicole needs this in order to grow her company. And she went to you all as customers to say, come in with me. So no matter what you invest, I mean, clearly it's multiples. So the more you invest, the bigger the opportunity. But I think if you really want to be part of it, and it's definitely very much an individual decision. But I think it's to feel like you're part of this. It's part of the bigger effort. It's exciting. There'll be updates. You'll have sort of an inside view. Brian's representing you. You can that's kind of bragging rights. I think you can be like, yeah, the founder of UGG is representing me on the board in my shareholders. I mean, that's just a cool sort of dinner party conversation. So no matter what it is, and I think the fact that she started at 100 is just compelling everyone to invest. But yes, absolutely. The higher the investment, the higher the potential. And again, as we can't say what it's going to be, but just naturally, it's going to be potentially more.
Yeah, and with the I see Jenny, you found your email. Yay! Okay, good. Here's what I want to say about all of like I can sense a little bit of I'm just going to call it anxiety of people being like, well, wait, like wanting to make sure everything works out. So the opportunity, the investment opportunity closes on August 13th. And it's not like on August 14th, if you don't have all your ducks in a row, like you're out, right? That's just like when the investment opportunity closes, and then there's going to be a period of time where you're going to start getting emails, and they're going to tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that. So we'll have another call, and what I'll try to do is set up a Zoom with someone from WeFunder after this closes, so that if anyone still has loose ends, or they don't have an email, or they're not sure, we have someone who knows more than me available to just make sure that everything is buttoned up and everybody has what they need. So don't feel like, when August 13th rolls around and you're still unsure if everything's squared away, don't get nervous. We'll make sure that we have one more we call this our final Q&A event because this is the last hoorah to rally investors, but we'll have another informational Zoom to make sure that everybody is got what they need. Okay, anything else? Any other questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Teresa. I don't know if I should turn it on or not. I heard you mention, first of all, I'm an investor and I am very pleased with the decision I made to become an investor. Very pleased. I have definitely, I'm able to see the vision of this company and where you are leading it to go to. And I'm really excited. My question, yes, you're welcome. My question is this, and if I'm asking it too soon, no problem. Just I'll reel it in and hold it till it's time to broach that. I heard you say earlier that one of the objectives, and these fundraisers are part of getting the product out there, getting it seen, getting it on bodies. Could you give us a brief plan of action on how you see that happening?
Yeah, I love the question. Thank you so much for asking it. And it's never,
you're welcome.
Yeah, it's never too soon to ask that question. And I'm sure as time goes on, we'll continue to update so everybody knows what the plan is, but here's the current plan. So there's really 3 different ways that we're planning on growing the company. So the first is to double, triple down on what we're already doing. So what we're doing now is digital marketing. So we're doing online marketing. We are utilizing advertising and those, kind of touch points to educate people about the product, get them on onto our website and sell the product to them. And to get them into the community, into the VIP and just engaged with the company in general. That has been a very effective strategy for us. And one of the reasons why it's been so effective is because before I launched any sort of online marketing, I don't know, some of you probably know this, some of you may not. I spent nearly 3 years out doing farmers markets and festivals and selling my product face to face. So I was out every single weekend, sometimes multiple times during the week. We did the county fair, we did the state fair, we did the LA County Fair, and just went out and talked to as many people as possible. And that's how I found out, who is this product for? What questions is she going to ask? What does she like? How much money is she going to spend? What's she going to buy first? What's she going to buy second? How is she using the bag? And I got so much feedback. I can see a Sash customer from a mile away. So by the time I started the online marketing, I knew exactly who I was speaking to and how to speak to her. And so that's why the online marketing is so effective. So we want to expand that because, right now we leave a lot of money on the table when we're doing all this effort to drive traffic to the website. And then everything is sold out or pre-order, right? So imagine all of that effort that we're already doing to get people to the website and them showing up and seeing product in stock and seeing something new every month. We also know that 84% of our customers will become repeat customers. So, and a large percentage of our customers not only become repeat customers, but have a lifetime value currently, our current lifetime value of our top 100 customers is over $4,500 per customer. And we don't know how, where that's going to go because we don't know where someone's going to tap out, right, in the lifespan of being a customer. They might be a customer for the rest of their lives, right? It's not something you just buy one of or two of. It's something that is a lifestyle shift. So you just keep buying them, whether it's every style that comes out, or you just buy one every time your other one is starting to look like you need a new one, right? Okay, so that is number 1. Number 2 is we're going to start looking at where have we not gone yet? What are the distribution channels and the potential customers that we haven't even reached yet? So some of those examples are the travel industry. So yes, we know that some of our customers and a lot of our customers use the product for travel. We actually were surprised that most of our customers that took that survey, over 1,000 customers that took the survey, it was only about a third of them that said they travel frequently. And we know there are way more travelers out there. And so we want to reach those travelers. So some of the ways we're going to do that is go to travel trade shows. We're going to talk to buyers that distribute into airport stores and cruise ships and get the product in front of people who are traveling, who can see it in a space where they're already somewhere where they could use it, right? So that's just one example. Some other examples of new target demographics we want to go after is like motorcycles, amusement parks, like, imagine like a Disney license and having these in Disney parks. Those are some of the bigger new markets we want to get into. The third piece is growing the community. So we want to, the VIP group right now, depending on who you ask, some people are like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Some people are like, it's too big. It's gotten like weird. So we're actually going to, with intention, segment out the VIP group into subgroups so that this experience everyone has is very intentional. So we're going to have like a SASH travel group. So those people who are our new customers or current customers who are really focused on travel have a dedicated spot where they can talk about how they're using their bag for travel. They can maybe even have meetups around the world and do stuff together, because we know our customers like to do that. We're going to have a group for our true VIPs. Right now we just call our community SASH VIP, because it was like the first thing that popped in my head. It was on a whim. I remember posting on Facebook on my personal profile. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a group. What do you guys think? And this was just to my friends. They're like, yeah, totally do it. And that's just what I called it. But I'm going to change the name to SASH Community. And the SASH Community is where we're going to welcome newcomers. And we're going to hire a personal shopper, someone who's actually going to welcome people in and give them that personalized experience of picking out their first SASH bag. And that's where someone who's new or curious about SASH can come in and ask questions and feel comfortable asking questions. And the expectation of the experience is that people that are in that group are there to welcome new people and to support them and have fun with them. Then the VIP group will be for those customers that own 10 bags or more. And so that is the group where the people who like, we already know how to care for our bag. We know how to, we know all the snap, we know all the tricks and everything. And we just want a place where, we're with other people who are like really committed SASH customers to have different conversations, right? So we want to grow the community in a way that, again, it's one of those areas where it just has happened so organically that we haven't even looked at like, what is the value of this community? How can we add value to the company by putting some more intention behind how we're growing the community? So those are the three areas that we're focused on to achieve the scale of growth that we believe will make us really attractive for an acquisition.
May I comment?
That's the end of my answer.
That was a great answer and very thorough, and that makes complete sense. I really like the ideas you have of the targeted marketing ideas. So that's exciting. And thank you very much for letting me pose that question.
Thanks for asking it, because that
welcome.
was probably all stuff I should have said like in the first 10 minutes. So
good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Nicole, I had a question.
Yeah.
I put it in the comment too. Do we have an estimate of what each share is currently valued at? We talk about if we've invested at $100 or at $250 or $1,000. Do we have an idea of if I've invested $100, how many shares is that, more or less?
Yeah. So this is where my brain is going to get a little bit wacky, but I'm going to give you a pretty spot on answer, but don't like.
Just a ballpark.
Okay. So the company is set up with 10 million common stock shares and 5 million preferred stock shares. The shares that you're buying is preferred stock. And the value of the company is 10 million. So it's 15 million shares total, valued at 10 million, and you are buying shares of the preferred stock. So the value per share, I guess, would come down to whatever 10 million or 15 million divided by 10 million, you know what I mean? Like 75 cents or something like that, right? Of the preferred shares.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. And I saw a question about going international. Yes and no. It's like, yeah, for sure. We want to be like in airports all over the world, and we want to look for distributors that have that capacity and that channel already built in. But it's not like we're going to go like, oh, we're going to open up a distribution center somewhere in Japan or something, right? We're going to look for partners where those things are already in place. So I mean, we're going to definitely be more international than we are now, but it's not like, oh, let's go into this country specifically. But we're open to like those channels that come our way as we're building these relationships in the travel industry.
I totally agree with Andrea. We've definitely, there's so many opportunities, and it's picking and choosing. So the ones that Nicole described were the top priorities, but there's so many more ideas to try next year. We've got a really exciting couple of years coming up.
All right, we're coming up on 6 o'clock. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm gonna say, like, let's do the giveaway now, and then we can continue this conversation. I'm going to upload this recording to YouTube and post it so that anybody who missed it, you know, so I'll post it somewhere on Facebook, either on the page or in the group or something, and we can continue the conversation. If you have more questions, we'll answer them. So, all right, are you ready with the list, Vidya?
Yeah, what I thought might be easier, Nicole,
Okay.
I'm just literally making this random. That's all the names are in a spreadsheet, and I've got the Google random number generator. So if you want, I'll just hit that and we'll get a number.
Okay, so we have to ask somebody to choose a number, right?
No, the Google's going to do it for us. Or
Oh, okay.
get someone to choose a number, but I'm literally, it's like, that's about as random as it gets. You just put,
Okay.
so is that okay? Or you want someone to choose?
Let's do that. Let's do it that way. Let's do the random number. I'm like nervous. My stomach hurts.
Okay, so the random number generator gave us 60, and 60 on the spreadsheet is Cole Cash Money. Is that person online?
Yes, that's me.
Woo! Cash money.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
That is awesome. Cash money. I love it. Okay, Cole Cash Money. So here's what's going to happen. Email me, because I'm guessing that there's another name underneath that name. And so yeah, email me, nicole@thesashback.com, and we'll go from there. So for anyone who didn't win, your consolation prize is shares in Sash. So thank you all so much for coming. And then, like I said, we'll continue the conversation online and make sure everybody has what they need. And yeah, thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.